Hi, welcome to Petrolheads London, and I'm glad you've come along because I've got this, and well, it's really bloody good. That's all I can say. And you know, I've had a glut of cars from Audi where they've kind of been, meh, really is the easiest way to describe it. But this, I really like this car. Let me tell you why. So first of all, we'll have a quick look round it, and then I'm going to talk to you and take you for a little drive and just show you why I like it. Because frankly, the fun in this car is behind the wheel. This is a 2018, it's the 2-litre TFSI, and that's the 230 PS version. And you know what? There are more powerful versions, and with the 0 to 60 is, I believe, 5.3 seconds or 5.4 seconds, thereabouts. It's really good. And you know, inside, so let's start inside. Sorry, I've got a bit excited about it, so I'm jumping around between what I want to tell you. I've not had this car for very long today, but do you know what? Instantly, as soon as you get to grips with it, it gives you confidence, and it's like, well, it's a bit of a hooligan, and this is a classic design. They've not deviated much from the original design. I always thought it looked a little bit like a trainer, but do you know what? It's a lovely looking car. In fact, actually, I took it home today, and the first thing my wife said, "Oh, nice car," bearing in mind I also have an F-Type. If I'm honest, if I then compare that to the F-Type, this is a 2+2, so it comes with a bit more practicality. It's got a big boot and also 2 seats that fold flat, so you could quite easily get a bike in there and fold that up. Beautiful ride as well. Let's look at the alloys. We've got the larger alloys on this one, so they're an option, and that's actually probably worth talking about the price at this point as well. So these cars start from £35,000. Yeah, well, by the time you finish putting options on it, you're going to be lucky if you get changed for 37, and that's for the basic model. This one here is around about £45,000. And another thing is none of them come with sat-nav as a standard option, including this one, which also doesn't have a rear parking sensor. What else can we tell you about this car? Well, firstly, the road holding is just sublime. This is the Quattro model, so obviously takes from that great heritage of the 4x4 Quattro system. I have not been able to fault this. I know that it gets a lot of bad press for Audis for being understeer. If I'm honest, I probably haven't been able to drive aggressively enough on twisty enough country roads to really put that to its test, but so far has been pretty good. You've got these big long doors, getting in and out is pretty good. What you do notice is people tend to scuff the sills a lot getting in and out, but that's pretty common with these 2-seater 2+2 cars. The back seats are pretty damn tiny. Yes, it is a 2+2, and if I'm honest, it's not much different to a 911, where actually I found the best thing for that was actually to fold them flat and use it as extra capacity in the back. But in emergencies, if you wanted to take some really small people, children, or maybe just nobody at all, then they're probably useful. Why am I excited about this car? Well, I think it's just the poise. It borrows a lot of its architecture from the Golf Type R, and do you know what? That really shows through when you drive it. It's fun and exciting to drive, but what you'll also notice is when you get in there and you start using the patented, or I don't know if it is, but the well-known Audi Drive Select actually kind of transforms the car, and I think more than I've noticed in maybe, for example, the SQ5 that I drive on a regular basis. This is, let me start that again. I can now see what all the fuss is about this car. Having never driven one, I didn't get it. It looks quite nice, but I don't think it's anything particularly special. Look at my F-Type, for example, probably turns a lot more heads than this does. This is a far more common available car. This, however, is an Audi, so it's built incredibly well, and you feel it from the moment you step inside that car. Everything is so well put together, but then that translates all the way down to the driving experience. Pinpoint accuracy in terms of where you point it and the confidence it gives you, and I've mentioned that once before already. And excuse me if I look like I'm a bit hot, because it is about 32 degrees here in London, which is unheard of. And I'm in direct sunlight and absolutely roasting. But anyway, I'm not complaining. It gives you loads of confidence, because what it does is it just kind of delivers against it. And so many other cars, you kind of get a lag maybe in that gearbox, or the acceleration doesn't feel like it's as kind of on point with actually when you're pressing it. You know, within the car, and this just feels so well put together. And all I would say is, if you're considering one of these versus other 2-seaters or 2+2s, you have to drive this car. It is just an incredible amount of fun. Now, if you've watched some of my stuff on my channel before, you will know I'm a big Audi fan. I think their service department is second to none with my experiences so far, let's just say, compared to other organisations I'm very familiar with. The cars tend to be really well put together, so actually, service aside, there's usually not a lot, touch wood, to have to do to them. It's comfortable. The seats in this, now I always get this wrong, Alcantara seats in this particular car are really, really comfortable. But look, enough of me waffling. Let's get in the car, let's take this for a drive, and let's actually see what this mini hooligan is all about. Okay guys, let's drive this thing. I'm really pleasantly surprised by this car. I just thought it would be a bit nothing, not much of a driver's car. Well, shut up, Tom. This is a whole lot of fun. It really is. So before I start ragging it everywhere, let me tell you a little bit about the interior. So first of all, cracking place to sit, super comfortable, really supportive sports seats, part leather, part Alcantara. See, I've got it right this time, for those who picked me up on the last one. I think I called it Alcantara or something. Awful. Steering wheel, again, really nice. Not used the Jaguar trick and taken it out the parts bin, the same one they use in every other car. Nice, thin, sporty wheel. Full controls on it, but it feels like I'm in a sports car. Jaguar, you can learn something from this. Then we've got the new cockpit display. Fully interactive, no extra screen here. And do you know what? They were the first ones to do it. And it's the first time I've driven with it. And it's bloody brilliant. It's really clear and it works really well. Then we've got the air conditioning here, a little bit futuristic looking, and actually I really like it. And I'll tell you what, if you can't get enough air out of these turbine looking things, then you've got something wrong. I'm going to turn it down a bit actually, because obviously I'm trying to keep the noise down for here, but it is roasting in the UK, and that is not often something you can say. Oh, Lamborghini, there we go, it's not often something you can say either. So yeah, the air conditioning unit is actually really quite quirky, and do you know what, they've done something quite nice with the design. It's quite nice to see something a little bit different, as opposed to just kind of the same old square old, you know, vents on the side of a car. This is just a little bit different to that thing. So, and it looks really nice. The only criticism I've got is there's a bit of a spread out of buttons here. So you've got your kind of jog dial, which works really well. You've also got, and I would say it's got some sort of touchpad on it, but I can't actually tell because it doesn't come with sat nav. So as I understand, the two big options these cars don't come with as standard is cruise control, which this one actually has, and sat nav. I think that's a bit of a must really these days, but anyway, there we go. As I said, the rest of the layout's really nice. The cabin's really spacious, sunroof, panoramic roof, that kind of option would be really, really good. But it doesn't fit, you know, it's quite a wide car this, and it doesn't feel overly expansive. And I usually always pick up on the just abundance of plastic, and do you know what? I kind of haven't noticed it because everything else is so engaging. There is a fair bit of it, I'm afraid, but there is not one squeak or rattle in this It is a hooligan, this car, it really is. And do you know what? It's got a certain reputation for probably people of a haircutting profession that I don't obviously have to frequent these days, who drive these. And do you know what? It's just wrong. This is a cracking little car. So if I say I've got two things against it, one is, I mean, I'm picking at things here, is probably the seats. They're not that great, but do you know what? It just gives extra space for storage, for travelling and stuff like that. Quick bit of tunnel action. So I did that because actually we've got another tunnel up and coming here as well. It's have quite a nice exhaust note, this car, and you do get the odd pop and crackle, but nothing as well tuned as the F-Type is. And an aftermarket exhaust would do this quite well. I didn't manage to make it pop and crackle. It's not really an on-demand popping and crackling kind of car, this, but it shifts and it lays down the power beautifully. And I know, and I've mentioned this already about the understeer, but I'm not really getting it in this. I think the big thing for me in this car is that you can drive it and have an immense amount of fun and stick it on country roads and really enjoy it, and then you get it into traffic or onto motorways and you put it in comfort mode and it really does transform, and it's a really super comfortable tourer. And I know people who've had these cars for long periods of time, and I get it now. I'm sorry, I actually get it. This is a good car. If I was faced with a decision between one of these and a 2-litre F-Type, this gets it without a shadow of a doubt. I'm really sorry, I'm a big Jaguar fan, but this just wipes the floor with it. It's better built, it drives better. This is a driver's car. It feels like you're in a sports car. Not at this speed. This feels like I'm in a truck meet jam. This has got quite a cool fuel filler cap, as well as cooler fuel filler caps go, but usually you have to open a flap and then mess around with a screw cap, and that has to hang somewhere. It's all gunky and horrid. It's just got a cap which looks quite nice and stylised. Bad motorcycle riding. And you just push it open and there it is. You drop the nozzle into it. Pretty simple, but actually, you know what? Those little design things make a difference. Cup holders, always important. So there's one cup holder down here and you think, oh, is that it? But actually you open up the armrest and folding down in the back is your next cup holder. And do you know what? Just little things like that. Oh, and also Audi haven't done that ridiculous thing where they create the sliding. Oh no, they have. It slides over it. Oh, you've got to stop doing that because then you can't use the cup holder. But overall, cracking place to be. Let's have a drive down here and see what this is truly like. So do you know what? It's just in a spirited drive, or even semi-spirited, if that's for want of a better term. But just enjoying driving it, it's just so nice. The feel is, it's really difficult to try and convey this on film. It just feels like a fun sports car. It's like a cross between a hot hatch and a sports car, which is kind of what it is. And I think what's also nice is a really responsive gearbox. The Tiptronic or the S-Tronic in this is really good actually. Yeah, there's a bit of lag like you do get on some of these when you drive it in auto mode, but if you use the gears in the manual mode, I'm tapping the paddles here, it's not just that, it's the stopping as well. And you know, these brakes aren't anything particularly special, but the way in which they're sort of servo assisted just makes it feel really good. Now, when I came around this roundabout earlier, it was empty, and now I seem to have hit a rush of people coming, so it's really difficult to show you the true driving experience of this, especially when people like that don't give you space. But it just sits really nicely on the road, and you do get the odd little pop as you change gear on the exhaust. Dial that up a bit, a little aftermarket exhaust, you'd have something a little bit special there. Oh, it's just addictive. It really is. Do you know what? I don't think it's probably as fast as it feels. But who cares? It's just really nice to drive. The thing I love is if you throw it into a corner or a roundabout, it's just the confidence with that really responsive engine, great gearbox, and that absolutely fantastic quattro really laying down the power. It just feels, well, do you know what? Fun. Thank you, Audi. I think you've created something good here. And thank you for letting me try it, because do you know what? My illusions have been slightly shattered by this, in theory, hairdresser's car. No longer shall I call it that. Guys, thank you for watching Petrolheads London. I've really enjoyed bringing this car to you today. For me, it's been a delightful surprise. I think it's a good looking car. I actually don't think it's bad value for money, especially when you start looking on the used market. And man, no wonder people rave about the TTRS, because if this is good, that must be amazing. Thank you for watching Petrolheads London. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe. Cheers.